to know everything. Who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of State of the Pels. I am Chrissy Smith. You can find me on X at Sports Chrissy. Happy to have all of you here today. We have got several things to talk about with the Pelicans. They've got quite an exciting schedule coming up leading into the final 13 games of the season. So let's kind of break down what is needed as the Pelicans find themselves in this position of not tanking and somehow still very minor, but still in the chance, the possibility of making the play-in game. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, the Pelicans are 8-4 in their last 12 games. And a lot of people say that was against teams that aren't doing well and blah, 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 whatever. Well, we didn't do that at all during the regular season when we were also playing teams that weren't performing that well. So you're playing in the NBA, you're playing at a really high level. So to me, if you're getting wins, if you're playing above 500, it doesn't matter really who your competition is, because as we've seen, anyone can win on any given night. So another impressive thing with the Pelicans is that they have won 5 at home in a row. And so they're going on a stretch right now. They are playing this evening against the Clippers and then tomorrow night also against the Clippers. And if you haven't been following the play-in race here, the Pelicans are currently in 12th place, and the 9 and 10 teams make the play-in game, where you need to win 2 games to then officially be into the actual NBA playoffs. With the Pelicans being in 12th place right now, they have to beat the Clippers, who are in 8th place in the standing. So they have to win tonight and tomorrow night against the Clippers. That's for sure has to happen. They also have another game later this season, which it's not far from now. Let's see if we can find the exact date. Let's see, April 2nd. So in just a couple weeks, they're playing at the Trailblazers, and the Trailblazers are also above them. They're currently in the 10th place in the standings, in the Western Conference standings. So they would need to win that game as well. Now, they obviously can't go 3-10 over their next 13 games and make the play-in. They really need their mindset just needs to be, we have to win every single game going down the stretch here. Is that possible to win 13 in a row? Sure. But is it likely? No. So it's really up to the Pelicans at this point. Like, their fate is in their hands, but the key is they have to get these next 2 wins Wednesday and Thursday night. If they don't do that, then, we'll just enjoy watching what we can. But we've seen a lot of really good things from the team. In the game Monday night against the Mavs, which was quite a blowout, the Pelicans just took care of business. DeJounte Murray was out at the last minute with an illness, so hopefully he'll be back tonight and Thursday. They're going to need him. But in that game, Zion had 27 points, shot 80% from the field, which is one of his best shooting nights ever. So he's really picking up steam. He looked great Monday night. I was there and able to just kind of feel the energy. Everybody felt fired up. Jordan Poole played in the first quarter, and he hadn't played in the previous 7 games before that. But he came out and he looked ready to go. And so he did some good things. Jeremiah Fears was really impressive that night. I believe it's in the last 8 games, he's been shooting over 44% from the 3-point line. And that was really considered his weakness when we drafted him, was, he's not a 3-point shooter, and he really struggled with that. So having somebody like him who's knocking down some threes. We've got Sadiq Bey, obviously, who's been just a huge bright spot this season. He's hitting shots out from outside the arc, and then you've got Trey Murphy, of course. But we needed more 3-point shooting. So it needs to come from somebody. I don't care who it comes from. But if Jeremiah Fears is stepping into that role, then that's really good to see, because we're going to need that going forward. So, the key really, I think, in tonight's game is going to be defense. The Clippers are a tough team, and they know that they are in that bubble spot right now, so they want to win just as much as the Pelicans are going to want to. So defensively, you've just got to play really hard, play without fouling, rebound the ball. And then 3-point shooting, they have to take more threes, and they have to knock down more threes. So last episode, I talked a little bit about Zion and how he needs to develop his game, and kind of stretch himself a bit and taking some of those mid-range, but especially 3-point shots to open up the floor for him and his teammates. He did not do that. Again, it's like he wasn't even listening to me or something from last week. But when I was there Monday, I'm really noticing even more how wide open he is in those positions. And I just want to beg him, like, just take 2 or 3 shots, 3-point shots a game, and force them to be like, okay, he could knock this down. You're not going to sink back into the lane and give somebody a wide open 3 over and over and over again. You're just not, because you're an NBA player. You are going to knock down 3-pointers sometimes. It's going to happen. Missy once in a while does it, but you've really got Carlo and Queen, and they each knocked down a 3 in Monday night's game. So Zion needs to start doing that. I wish he would do it down this stretch. I think it would throw off the other team's defense so much. They definitely wouldn't be expecting that. So we're going to need that. We're going to need 3-point shooting tonight, and I don't expect it to come from Zion. But if we can get Fears, Poole can knock down some threes if he's playing smart, So one thing about Poole, he's an energy bringer. Like when he gets out there and he's wanting to do that, he brings a lot of energy, and he's got, it's not a chip on his shoulder, but it's like just some kind of spark that he has out there. It just kind of ignites the crowd. He'll do things, and he'll have a kind of a pride moment, and we need that sometimes. Sometimes I feel like it's like, all right, we haven't had the best season, and it's hard to get a little cocky and get a little bit of edge to you, but you do need that. And when you're playing teams that are going to be in the playoffs, like the Clippers and stuff, you really need to have that little edge to you. I don't know. I tell my son this all the time. He plays baseball in high school, and I'm like, you need to get just a little cocky, just get a little bit like, I'm better than you. And he's just very reserved, and he's not that way, but that actually does give you an edge, even just from a mentality standpoint of, you can't stop me. We've got this. So it is nice to have Jordan Poole out there doing that. Not that the other guys don't have it, but Jordan Poole, he likes to just show that off sometimes. And it is good to see, and it kind of fires everybody up. So we're going to do a couple of fan questions. We did that last time, listener questions. And so we're going to do that this time. But I kind of want to break down these next few games for the Pelicans. If you haven't been lately, I highly suggest that you get to the Smoothie King Center this week. So we got a game tonight against the Clippers, Thursday night against the Clippers, and then Saturday night at home against the Cavs. All 3 important games. The Smoothie King Center was really rocking on Monday night, and I think it'll be doing the exact same for these next 3 games. If the Pelicans come out and win tonight, then buckle up for Thursday night's game. It will be interesting to see, does everyone play in a back-to-back? That's where you have to say, is it realistic that the Pelicans could get in? And if it is, well, yeah, you're going to want to play everybody, all your starters. You're not going to want to do any of this load management. But then, so I think tonight will tell a lot on who plays tomorrow. If we win the game tonight, then I think there's a better chance that all the starters and everyone's, locked in and ready to play Thursday night as well. So you've got those coming up. Then the Pelicans, they're going to go on the road for a little bit. So they're going to be playing at New York against the Knicks. They're going to Detroit Pistons. That is going to be a very, very tough game. And that's next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow. So we'll see what position they're in at that point. Then they go to Toronto, play the Raptors, play against BI again, which, they just beat the Raptors in New Orleans at home. So that's going to be, I think, a game that the Raptors are going to want to get the win back on that. So we'll see what happens there. Then the Pelicans come home for 1 game against the Rockets, back on the road, Trailblazers. That's the game that they're going to need to win. Sacramento Kings, so they're on the West Coast there. Come home for 2 games, and then they're on the road. They finish out the season against Boston and then Minnesota. So definitely a lot of talented teams that they're going to be playing against. This could be a really great stretch to tell us where we're at, really, with this squad and what their future kind of looks like. So it will be interesting to see that. So yeah, if you're not planning on it, if anything, if you're not making it out to the game, all the games are on Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, and you can find that on Cox Cable, DirecTV, Fubo, lots of places to watch it. You can always pull out an antenna. That's what I did last year for the whole season, watched it, and it was a great picture. So Okay, let's get to a couple fan questions here. All right, question number 1. Let's see which one we are going to pick. Okay, the question is, well, we talked a little bit about this. There's even more discussion. So just a reminder, the question is about Zion Williamson and what will it look like next year for him. So, he's still in contract with the Pelicans. Some people I think they think that he's going to become a free agent this year, and are we going to re-sign him? But no, he's still under contract. So the question really is, what's going to happen with him in the offseason, and the Pelicans get to decide that. So are the Pelicans going to try and trade him this offseason? Interestingly, if Zion plays 9 more games, he gets a little bit over an $8 million bonus for how many games he's played this year. So, he's doing a great job this year. He's getting paid. He's, in shape, doing what he needs to do to get paid. So the question really is, what will happen with Zion in the offseason? Do the Pelicans try to move him and get a piece? I think I could see them seeing what they can get for him. Zion has showed so much improvement this year, so obviously his trade value has gone up exponentially. But the question is, can we get for him what we need? And then that other question is, what do we need? And we talk about this all the time. The Pelicans need that superstar player. We have several stars on our team, no doubt about that. But we need the superstar, if Zion will extend his game and develop his game by adding in the mid-range, shoot at the elbow, take some 3-point shots. If he will do that, he could be the superstar of the team. I mean, his numbers are fantastic this year. He's a difference maker. There's just no doubt about that. I mean, there's a reason his teammates say he's a generational talent, and he is. But you still can't be one-dimensional in that all of your points come in the paint, especially when you're not a center, like a traditional center. Like you're a 4. You're playing the 4 position. So I think the Pelicans will test the waters, see what can they get for him. But I feel like if they don't think that they're going to get that difference maker piece, then they're better off keeping him. And you can't tell me that the coaches and training staff are not telling him, hey, buddy, you gotta start shooting outside of the lane. Like, you have to do this for your game. This is going to take you to the next level. He's not going to be bad at it. So I don't know if he's just so in his comfort zone. Yesterday when I was at work, we did something different. We had our sales meeting like usual, and my director had everybody sit in a different chair than we usually sit in. And he said, you have to get out of your comfort zone sometimes, and you have to sit in a different seat. And it's like, that's what Zion needs to do for next season. Get into a different seat, and that seat is get behind the 3-point line and start knocking down some shots. Just take the dang shots. I don't even care if you make it. Take it, make them respect the fact that you have the ability to do that, so that they cannot just suck in to the lane and pull the defense in the whole entire time. So number one question with Zion, I think they will. I would not be shocked to see if they do end up moving him. This is by far the most trade value that they could get for him since we've signed him, So that is the first question. And the second question we're going to answer today is, let me pick out which one, because we've got 4 or 5. Okay, so the next one, let's touch on Derek Queen. What will Derek Queen need to do to make it feel like drafting him without a first-round pick is effective? He's going to need to do a lot of work in the offseason. He needs to get quicker defensively, and he needs to get stronger. Those are going to be the 2 things that you're going to have to see out of him. He's got a really good base. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He has a really good base. I'm not mad that we don't have a first-round pick. I think he is worth it, in the sense that if we had a first-round pick, we're not going to pick somebody that would come in and next season turn everything around and say, oh, now we have a championship team. So I just feel like I'm fine with riding with Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen as our first-round picks, and we've already got a year under our belt with them. So maybe they can make those big enough strides in the offseason. It feels like we're right there with so many things. This season has taught us a lot, that you can have all of these different talented players, but there's still some kind of link missing to take us to that next level. Maybe it was a DeJounte Murray. Since he's been back, things really have been turned around. So maybe he is it, but we only have 13 games left to see what's going to happen. So DQ can prove everybody wrong in terms of not having a first round pick because we got him. And, that's kind of a lot of pressure on a guy that age. He's just a kid. I mean, he looks like a baby. He's got braces. I mean, he's just a kid out there. And it's like the fan base is livid because there's no first round pick off of him. So hopefully, he just uses that as motivation and says, I'm going to prove you guys why I was the right choice and why you made the move and the decision to do what you did. So I think that the potential's there with him. I will say that. And at this point, I'll take potential over a definite no. So we'll see what happens. Time will only tell with that. But the most interesting thing for Pelicans fans right now is going to be these next 13 games, specifically these next 2 games. If we beat the Clippers, then the door is open. And if the Pelicans get to the play-in spot, I don't think DeJounte Murray's going to let them lose. And I think we have a shot to do something. At least it can make the postseason fun. Just get in. You always hear that. Just get in and then see what happens because it's the postseason and these are professional teams. And so really anything can happen. So my biggest takeaway would just be just get ready for these next 2 games. Get ready for including the game on Saturday against the Cavs. And there could be a lot of fun going on. DeJounte Murray tweeted that when he came back saying, get your popcorn ready and this is going to be fun. And he was not wrong about that. It definitely has been fun. And I think there's more fun to go on tonight. So I will be watching live tonight, obviously on Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. If you want, you can tweet at me or message me on X at Sports Chrissy, and I'm happy to talk during the game. And let's just see what can happen. Fingers crossed, but I've got some hope. Thanks for joining today, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.